It's God's plan for me, and I respect that. It's God plan for me, and I believe that. It's God plan for me, and I receive that. But guess what, dog? You know you better believe that. It's God plan for me, and I respect that. It's God plan for me, and I believe that. It's God plan for me, and I receive that. Fikes.
Welcome to Favorite Purpose. I am your host, Jamail. And if it's your first time tuning in, I want to say I'm glad you chose to be a part of the FWP gang. Yeah. Also, if you're returning, please, guys, continue to come back. We enjoy you guys. We enjoy you guys listening. We enjoy your feedback. Today, we're going to have season 2, episode 3 with my special guest, Noe Cruz. Everybody go ahead and give it up for my boy, Noe Cruz. Woo, 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 woo. All right. I sure appreciate you, man. Taking the time out, especially after the crazy week we've had, with the winter storms and everything, man. And also, Faith the Purpose would like to apologize to anybody who was getting more consistent in listening. That actually kind of cut us off a little bit, but we actually want to pray for those people out there who were without power, man, without water. And I just thought, who
Absolutely.
better to have on this episode than my brother-in-law? You know what I mean? Also, he's a great man. He's a great guy. I learned a lot from him. I can actually see him being a great mentor to the youth, to myself. He's a glue and a nucleus for his family. So, matter of fact, I'm gonna let him tell you more about himself. I'm talking a little bit too much. So, here's Noe Cruz, man. Go ahead and let the people know who you are, man.
Great. Well, thanks. First of all, Jamal, thanks for having me. It's truly a pleasure and honor to be a part of this journey. Faith with purpose. I've been following right since season one, obviously, and just been amazed at what God's done right through this channel, serving others. It's just truly a pleasure and honor. Yes, you are my brother-in-law, but we're also brothers in Christ, right? Even regardless, and first and foremost. So, definitely an honor to be here and excited to kick this conversation off with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So since we go ahead and get right into it, man. After the week of a delay and actually had a little time to go over our discussions, multiple times. This is a great time for us to go ahead and get into it, man. So, what is one thing you wish you had known before you actually got into your career, man? Like, what's one thing that you should have known?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like we were saying, I know it's been a tough week, right, for a lot of us. Some even say past couple of years has been really tough, but thank
Yeah.
God, right, He's gone through that for us. The one thing I wish I had known, when I began my career, was really understanding how valuable it is establishing a strong mentorship, and how important building meaningful relationships can be. Anyone who's had success in their life will tell you more than likely that they didn't do it themselves, right? They always had someone encourage them, support them along the way, demonstrate, right, what it looks like
Mm-hmm.
to be successful in life. And so that's really one thing I would tell everyone, for the listeners out there, if you're looking, find a close group of people that you trust, right? That demonstrate what success looks like, and that way you can get multiple varies varieties, right? See what you fall in, where what fits with you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing I would recommend. And we also have seen throughout the Bible, right, countless of examples of people mentoring others. I mean, that's, if you look at all the stories, that's really what you see, right? One
Right.
person mentoring another, passing that information along. But it's not just merely passing on knowledge about God. Mentoring goes beyond that. It's showing others how to love God, right?
Right.
Showing others how to serve God. And as we know, the ultimate mentor, that has ever, has ever been in this world, Jesus Christ himself, right? And we felt his impact now 2,000 years from now. He's been the ultimate, showing us what it means to serve God, to love God.
Right.
And, that's who we all should be striving for
I love
when
it.
we call this Christian movement experience.
I love it, man. And like you say, this Christian movement experience, I love it, man. It's awesome. So, what is your biggest failure, and what did you learn from it?
Yeah, this is a tough question. I'm not gonna lie. When I was going through my notes, it made me stop and think a little bit and say, okay, what it is. So when I first think about this question, what comes to mind is, ever since Adam and Eve chose to eat the forbidden fruit,
Mhm.
failure, in my opinion, entered the human experience.
Right.
So for me, the question is not when you're gonna fail, but rather your reaction to your failure, right?
Big.
So your perspective is what matters most.
Right.
Failure, it really can be the best teacher, as it helps to identify other areas in our lives that are where there's opportunities for growth, right? Establishing that progress over perfection mindset, it's really critical when we're overcoming trials and tribulations. So true, in my opinion, true failure occurs when we continue to make the same mistakes over and over again, and we do nothing about it. When we become stagnant and give up, that in my opinion, that's when true failure really occurs.
Mhm.
But like many of you, I've had many failures in my life, and when I think, and that's it usually involved lack of self-control, right?
Right.
And which to me comes back to being prideful, knowing that I grew up in the church. I knew better, right? I've always had a relationship with God, and I don't need to worry God about my own personal struggles, right? Having that mindset of that stubborn mindset, right? That I have everything under control. I don't need to involve Him or others, right, close to me. And so, from my failure, I will say most recently, where it almost costed my life. It
Mm.
really did. Not only myself, but a good friend of mine, and that was because of the fact that I was letting that internal struggle within me, and there, but thank God, right? God is really, I'm living proof today, that when you actually put your faith in Christ, when you really open up and be honest with God about your failures, He will come
Mhm.
in and show you, right? He'll show you the way. He'll give you the strength, and I'm alive here today because of that, by the grace of God. And so, and which became clear to me,
Yeah.
my purpose is to share the good news, right? The gospel that Christ lives, that we need to accept Christ in order to live our best life.
Mhm.
So if you're someone out there that's saying, hey, God, show me a sign, right?
Right.
Show me a sign. I'm
Right.
here to tell you today, living proof that I am this, this is your sign. God is alive. He's here for you, right? He wants to know you. He wants to help you, and everything that he understands. No one's perfect, right? But he is. And so, so if anyone out there, like I said, just I want to encourage you guys to do that and learn from those mistakes, right? Mistakes that I've made. That's what we look at the Bible. There's plenty of people who've made mistakes. We want to read it where we got to take that in, and so that we don't fall into those same mistakes.
I agree, man. Like I said, just thinking about failure, man, it's like one of the things where some people let it define them, right? And so, like you said, it's kind of
Mhm.
like how you respond to that failure. And I failed many a times, but at the same time, I think about it as like I have to learn from it. It's a learning experience. Some people fail. Actually, some people don't understand, or some people may not even understand it when I say, "Man, I failed up," and they're like, "What?" I said, "I failed up."
Mhm.
And they're like, what do you mean? I say, I failed up because, like, yeah, I didn't get to where I wanted to be right away. Right. Yeah, I got knocked down, got knocked back. I got actually put on my bottom a few times. But in hindsight, when I look up now, it's kind of like, look where I am. You know what I'm saying? Look where it got me though. Look where it led
Mhm.
me to on my path. You know what I mean? So that's why I say I failed up. I'm doing better than I thought I would ever be doing right now because I failed. You see what I'm saying? So I love what you said
Right.
in answering that loaded question. So, like I said, I put a lot of thought into
Yeah.
these questions, man, and I really want people to hear your testimony through these questions. All right. So
Yeah.
number three.
Yeah.
All right, here's number three. This they're pretty much the
Mhm.
first five or six in our discussion. I told you how deep they're gonna be. So I
Right.
already
Right.
told you. All right, so you've already committed to it. No backing out
I
now.
have. Yeah.
All right. So
Absolutely.
what
Let's
advice would you
go.
give someone one to get to know God, right? And how could you help them pursue a relationship with Him?
Yeah, this is an excellent question. The best advice I would give someone really wanting to know God is to first seek Him with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind.
Yes, sir.
I really would encourage all believers, whether new and old alike, to start reading the four Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. You want to start with those four. That's where you'll see, right, Christ's um, ministry starting, right? And so we understand that is the most important. There's a lot of value, right, all from the Bible from the front to back, but I would definitely have those as a starting point. The other thing I would recommend is ask the Holy Spirit to guide you and help you truly understand what you're reading. Right.
Mm,
A lot of times we read and we either lose focus or maybe I can't understand it. But
yeah.
if we ask, a lot of times you gotta ask and you will find. Right. I mean that's in the scriptures. There's truth to that.
Mm,
Asking the Holy Spirit to help you guide you. On a daily having that daily establishing a good biblical habit of
Mhm.
prayer, of
Right.
worship,
Right.
fasting, and fellowship. Right, trying to find a core group of people that share those same beliefs, and then that way you can kind of practice those, right, and fellowship with others. But yeah, surrounding yourselves with others who demonstrate that. And in addition, I would also encourage baptism.
Mm.
And that is really an outward expression of an internal change, right? And we
Ooh,
know that
yeah.
Jesus demonstrated that. If you look at Matthew 3 through 3 to 17, right, we
Mm.
see that Jesus himself was baptized, right, by John. So again, it's just those are the basically the one couple steps that I would recommend
Mhm.
starting off.
Okay. I mean, that's awesome, man. Like, I mean, I love everything that you stand for, especially when it comes to, talking about, Matthew, Luke, John, and all those. Like, those are really, really good books, bro. I told you in our last conversation that I had started reading Luke, and I told you that Luke, it was like comical to me, but at the same time, it was like, man, this is exactly what, like, you experienced last week or the week before or last night. You'd
Mm,
be like, man, I just experienced this. You know what I mean? And so, I mean,
applicable,
yeah,
absolutely.
it's really applicable, man. You know what I'm saying? Just the biblical sense of it, it just makes sense, period. So if you don't
It
open it,
does.
if you don't open the book, then how would you know? Like, you don't have a clue about who God is. You can hear about who God is, right? You can hear about Jesus Christ, you hear all that, and it may sound like people are beating a dead horse, really. Like, hey man, you always talking about religion, you talking about this, but listen, I'm just want to get you a relationship with Christ. You know what I'm saying? And it's about the group, like you said, the groups that you
Right.
put yourself in or that you surround yourself with. That's really the base of it. You know what I'm saying? That's why Faith and Purpose was created, bro. I just want everybody to understand that you can build a relationship with Christ no matter how far off you've been from God. Like, it's no end point.
Absolutely.
It's like, oh, I haven't talked to God in forever. He's not listening to me. Oh, yeah, trust me, he's with you even in your trying days, bro. Like, that's just how it is. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
it is. And I would add to that, I've always thought, people like, man, I'm too far from God,
Right.
right? Or I've done this, I've done Y, Z, X, Y, Z.
Mhm.
It's not about what you did, it's about
Right.
what he did.
Right.
Right. And that to me, that sums it up, man. Like it don't matter what you did.
Yeah.
He paid for it all. It's already been paid. So we just gotta accept it, right? Believe it in our hearts
Yeah.
and move forward, right?
Yeah.
Let the past was the past. This
Yeah.
is a new future for us. And yeah, so I'm totally with you on that.
Yeah, and so now since we're kind of like, we here, we already here on the same page, and we talk about this all the time. But what are the best resources that have helped you along the way? Maybe you can give a little advice on that, or some resources that people can use to, find Jesus Christ again if they, or for the first time. What are some resources you may use?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's many resources out there now, of course, right, with modern technology in our phones. But some of the three main resources that I use on a daily basis. First, I strongly urge you to download the Bible app. It's free. There's no in-app purchases, right? So
Yeah.
there's really no excuse not to download it. Every morning when I wake up, right when my eyes open, the first thing I do, I say thank you to the Lord, right, for giving me another day of life. I reach for my phone and I read the verse of the day right on the Bible, and I
Right.
just really meditate on it for the first, I don't know, a couple minutes before I even roll out of bed. So I'm starting my day off understanding that first I'm grateful, right, to God for letting me wake up another day, because that's a miracle in itself. Not a lot of people woke up right today or the next day, and
Yeah.
so we have to be grateful, right?
Right.
And so that's one recommendation. The second resource I would say that's helped me in my walk with God is establishing a good worship playlist. So I use Amazon Music.
Hmm.
I play Christian stations like Hillsong United, Chris Tomlin, Elevation Worship, and with this Christian music, what it does for me, it helps me to get in the right mindset, right, which helps me be more positive, at
Yes, sir.
peace, and overall just a joyous, grateful mood. Um, so that's the second resource. Lastly, the third resource I would recommend is YouTube, Apple Podcasts, such as amazing channels like Faith with Purpose,
Yes, sir.
but other channels I would recommend: Cornerstone Church, Elevation Church, any other that will help you get Christ Spirit filled content that will enrich and add value in all forms of, for physically and mentally and emotionally, and spiritually, that will help edify you.
Bro, I'm just so excited that you mentioned Fate with Purpose, bro. Like, I'm humble, bro, because I
Oh,
know
absolutely.
you know your sister, she failed to mention that. I had to remind her. But yeah, man. So I really appreciate that, man. And that's true. You know what I'm saying? I mean, last month I had the 5, 5, 5, and 5 challenge. And
Mhm.
you can always still do that, man. That's 5 minutes of, worship, 5 minutes reading your Bible, right? 5 minutes of praying. And then do that for 5 days straight, man. And just kind of give yourself a change, a reset button, especially after this crazy week we just had. You know what I'm saying? You still can still do that challenge. That was a challenge for last month, but guess what? You can do that anytime. Not just because I said it was a challenge,
Right.
right? You can do that anytime. And that's kind of how I got started back. You know what I mean? I started back doing that back in 2020 once the pandemic hit. It just got real crazy for me, man. And I was religious with the 5, 5, 5, and 5, man. And I said, you know what? When I came back in 2021, if the person was going to push this out, we had to push this challenge out because I wanted to share that with somebody else how my life has changed and how just from 2020 to 2021, man, because
Mm.
even getting COVID and all that, and still, dealing with the pressures of having to work, virtually and in person, it was a lot for me. You know what I mean? And I was just
Absolutely.
overwhelmed. I was doing a lot. Plus, on top of that, I coach too. So I'm doing
Mm.
all these things and I'm being pulled in all these directions. I do FCA, I do all kind of stuff, man. So I wear so many hats. As you can see, I got my hat on, but I wear so many different hats, man. And so I needed something to push me, over that edge of, communicating with God again. You know what I mean? And
Right.
so I felt like the hiatus that I was able to take, and even through COVID, that kind of like made me pause a little bit. It was like you need to get back
Right.
to doing, what God wants you to do. Let God will be done.
Right.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, man. That's why we got the YouTube channel jumping now. That's why we got all of the Bible app. People use the Bible app, and like I said, it's just all your resources that you have around you with technology, man. It's easy to, Google a verse. It's easy to just go to the bookstore and buy a Bible, and you can actually just get to know Him better, man, by just those
Yeah.
things, right? So I appreciate you sharing that with us, man. And so I was gonna ask you,
One more
who
time.
are the three people who are the most influential to you?
Yeah, the three most influential people for me, it's really as simple. It's my dad, my mom, and my oldest sister, Nancy.
Mhm.
They've been three amazing servants of Christ that have demonstrated consistently what Christ describes in Matthew 22:37 to 39, which is to love the Lord your God, right, with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and then to love your neighbor as yourself. Their consistent prayer life is only matched by their worship and fellowship life.
Okay.
So they've been really influential in my life. Their passion and fervor for seeking and serving Christ has left an impression on my heart and mind that will never, that will endure forever.
Mhm.
And so those are the people that in my life. Obviously, there's many others within my life that also can fall into this category, but those have been definitely the most three influential in my life, which is why it's important to find, maybe it's not your mom, maybe it's not your dad, your brother, but there's pastors out there, there's people like yourselves, right, that you don't know, but hey, you're willing to reach out, build that community, right? Find that, they're out there. God put us here for a reason,
Yes,
and
sir.
it's to reach and to help each other out. If you look at God Himself, right, there's a unity, there's a Trinity. So even God Himself is not by Himself; He has a community within Himself,
Mhm.
and we are the same. We're no different. So yeah, no, I like that question because it really highlights, right, in my history or in my past, who's been the most influential. And I just want to give it up to my mom, my dad, and my sisters because
That's awesome.
and all my brothers and sisters, right? But definitely those have been the most influential.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, like I said, I mean, people don't probably want to know, but if you know me for a while, you will know. Like my mom's my hero. I mean, straight up, my mom's my
Mm,
hero, man. I seen her take care of me and my sister, dude, and like do a lot for us, man. And then coming back around my late 20s, bro, my dad popped back, back into my life, and I'm like, he's still a hero to me too, as well, even though he wasn't always there, but he's a hero to me. You know why? Because he's able to, like we talked about those failures, take his failures, man, and build off of those failures and understand that yeah, I did fail, but I'm back to my family. Like I get to see my dad more often now, right? And so
right.
I mean, I still consider both of them to be my heroes because they dealt with their situation the way they dealt with their situation. I'm not gonna get into details about it, but I'm just saying like God created me, but they created me, you know what I mean? And so like if I tell you my background, you wouldn't believe it. You know what I mean? Because of, just how great God has been in my life, and I give it all to him. So it's kind of like that's why I am who I am today, man. Why I'm able to forgive, you know what I mean, and forgive both of my parents,
Right.
and also just forgive people who've ever, I felt may have let me down at the time. But I do appreciate you saying that those three are your most influential people, because me, I'm always say either my coaches or something like that, because I'm been an athlete all my life, man. And so now I
Right.
just say I get to pay it forward, because now I'm looking back, like I'm a coach now. You see what I'm saying? So now I'm a
Right.
coach, and I also have this Effective Purpose podcast and stuff like that. So I'm able to give back and do, God's will. I feel like that's what God's calling me to do. So, but I wouldn't be able to do any of that without the most influential people in my life. So that's, I love your answer to that one, man. That's really good, that you hold your parents and your sister dear to your heart. You know what I mean? That's pretty good. So what is one
Yeah, it
common myth? Yeah, it
is.
is, man. I'm telling you, it is. But I'm gonna transition over into the next question. All right, because this one right here, I
Okay.
know we discussed it, but at the same time, man, it's like we always discuss this question pretty much, but it's like, what is one
Right.
common myth about you as a Christian or a person of faith, right, that you want to debunk? People know you from, like you say, your past. People know past Noe, right? But what
Right.
can you debunk right now, a myth about you that people may have been a rumor or anything? Like, what can you debunk, man?
Right. Great question. A common myth about me being a Christian is that we don't struggle with sin or issues like addiction, depression, anxiety, etc. Right? The list goes on.
Hmm.
Well, that really couldn't be farther from the truth.
Right.
And I'll tell you personally, right? I've actually just came off a battle myself with anxiety, with depression, really in 2019, definitely 2020. I'm able to share, right? Because of the fact that it's still something that, yeah, it's maybe a struggle, but now I've kind of gone over the hump. I'm on the other side of that now.
Hmm.
And, so I want to debunk that right off the bat, no matter how long of a Christian you've been, right? If you were
Yeah.
born into it like myself, or just a brand new Christian, or you're not a Christian at all, right? You're just kind of on the outside looking in, and we all face where we're all human, so we all have those struggles, we all have those battles. The Bible says in John 16:33, here in this world you will have many trials and sorrows, but it doesn't end there, right? Jesus continues and he says, but take heart because I have overcome the world, right? For those who believe in him, we never have to face our own sin. We never have to, our own sicknesses, our financial hardships, right? Our breakups, loneliness, depression, anxiety, and overall just all the other struggles, right? He's already overcome those. He's actually faced those, right?
Right.
Which is why it's so important to link with Christ, right? Because we know as God and as man, he's experienced both. And that's what we want to connect to, right? We have that ability. Why not take advantage of that ability, right? Why not take advantage of that relationship, right? He's reaching out his hand. All we got to do is grab it and take it. Um, so, through Christ, we have the power to overcome anything that this world brings,
Right.
and when we talk about what this world takes away, God's joy, the world can't take it away, right? Because it's not from human strength. It's not human joy.
Right.
It's from above, man. So I just want to encourage everyone, right? If you're battling through that, hang in there, right? Reach out to those that you feel comfortable. Definitely, if you need to seek medical attention, I did the same thing. There's no shame in that, right? There isn't. We all have our struggles at some level, but what's different about the spiritual side, the doctor's not going to be able to treat you spiritually, right? For the spiritual, and that's what the Bible's for, right? That's what a relationship with Christ does. It helps highlight that. It
Right.
bridges that gap, and it provides that peace and joy, right? That we don't understand, that it's outside of this world. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like you said, it's outside this world, man. And I just I don't know. I just it's one of those things, man. Like people think they know you and they try to use that against you most of the time. And they say like, hey man,
mhm,
I know you. I seen something the other day that was like, hey, people act like, like we don't know who they really are, or people come on social media and post this stuff like, we didn't go to school with you or something like that. And I kind of laughed at it. And then I was like, somebody out there reading that may have took offense to that, right? Because they're like, oh wait, is he talking about me, or is this person talking about me? Is she talking about me? And I'm like, bro, it's kind of like that's just how it is, and especially being a Christian, I think that's the
right,
toughest job, or not job. I don't want to say job. I think that's the toughest thing to have to go through, I guess in society today is when as soon as you say I'm a Christian, people are like, "Oh, what kind of Christian?" You see what I'm saying? Because that's actually happened to me before. Somebody was like, "Oh, well, what type of Christian are you?" You know what I mean? I'm like, why would that even be a question in your head? You know what I mean? I'm like, I know what I struggle with in the past. I know what I struggle with. You know what I mean? But that's between me and God. Like your
Hmm.
opinion really doesn't matter to me, but it's a simple fact that I know who God is and I know who I'm in relationship with, right? And I know who God's my
Right.
steps daily. So whatever myth you may have about me, you might as well throw it to the wolves, or throw it to just throw it out there, put it in the ocean. I don't know, but all I know is that God knows who I am, and I know who He is. So we got a relationship. That's all that matters. So anyway, I'm glad. I
Absolutely.
appreciate that though, man. I was getting ready to start preaching to you, boy. I forgot where we was at there for a little bit. But what made you decide to follow Christ, bro? Like, what was the one? Like, I can't say one thing. What just made you be like, man? You know what? I decide to follow Christ, man. Like Christ, I'm giving my life over to Him.
Mhm.
What made you
Great
decide?
question, man. I was blessed really to have been born, as I mentioned earlier, into a beautiful family where Christ has always been in the center of our lives, right? So I was raised in the church, pastor's kid, preacher's kid, strict upbringing. As I stated earlier, I grew up as that, and where my parents really did a wonderful job shielding us, right, from an ungodly world, or trying to do the best that they could. But I would say the moment was in 2007 when I moved to San Antonio for college. Excuse me, 2005, when I moved to San Antonio for college and decided I would try life without God at the center. Right, I still love God, but it's like, oh, I don't have to go to church now, right? I'm not my parent. I'm not being forced, right? That kind of thing. And so, of course, this led to a life of partying, fornicating, right, other sinful things. And these moments brought temporary fun and pleasure, but
Mm-hmm.
eventually it could not fill that void that was in my heart and soul that only Christ could fill, right? Because He had already filled that. And so going through that experience made me pursue God like never before, man. As I was the only one going to church services, right? I was getting involved, without any my parents, right, having to influence me or forcing me. Like I said, I found myself yearning for His presence more and more, man. As I was going through that, right, being there alone, right. My family, of course, was nowhere near me, and obviously I had friends, right, but it's different, right, when you don't have that bloodline family right there to
Mm-hmm.
support you and help you. So that is where I truly say that I followed Christ, right? Just no matter my faults, I knew that I needed God, man. I can't live without Him. I'm desperate without Him. I found myself just having no hope, and so you know, pursuing God, it just brought that hope back into me, made me have that fire even more, right? Pursuing Him more, helping others. So that's when I would say when I decided to follow Christ, man. When I first wanted to, I feel like I wanted to get away. No, no, no. He brought me back and said, made me realize how valuable having that relationship and having that in your life, man.
Yeah, that's to me, man. That's beautiful. I mean, somebody out there right now may have a similar story, man. They may have moved, they may have gotten into a new environment, and I mean, it's college, right? People think that when you go to college that there won't be temptation, or I can't say they don't think it will be temptation. Let me fix that. People know that there's temptation, but they feel that they wouldn't.
Hmm.
I guess subside to that. I guess they feel that they wouldn't get caught up with temptation. They're like, I'm stronger than that, right? And like you said, some people decide,
Right.
oh, I can do it on my own. Like, I haven't talked to God in a while, but I'm doing all right. I'm doing fine without talking to Him. Trust me, no, God is still there, bro. You just gotta open that conversation with Him, open that line of communication with Him, so you can let Him know. I mean, He already knows what you're gonna do anyway. That's the funny thing about it, right? So people always try to hide things like, oh, well, I'm gonna do this. God knows your heart. He already knows what you're gonna do. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
You're in your story, but He's writing your story, right? You're in your story. The story's about you, but He's writing it. So He knows the beginning and the end, right? Of Noe
That's
Cruz
right.
or of Jamail Deal. Like He knows the beginning and the end of us. But it's kind of like what you do with it. You know what I mean? I remember at one point in college, bro, like I didn't because I was brought up in a black church. You already know that. Like, I was brought up in a very urban
Hmm.
church. You go to morning service, you go to Sunday school, then you go to afternoon service, and then you go to you got 3 or 4 services, man. You don't get home till about 5 p.m., 6 p.m., and you leave at
I
seven
remember
thirty in the
those days.
morning.
Yep.
So I kind of can I can relate to that. And then you got Bible study on Wednesdays, you got youth practice on Tuesday, you got all the stuff throughout the week that you're doing. But what I was trying to say is that I think that most people they really just fall into that temptation, man. And then when I went to college, I didn't go to church at all. Like I was at Surross for about 3 years, I want to say 3 or 4 years. And in those 3 or 4 years, I think I went to church out there once.
Mm,
And I felt like the
yeah.
enemy was telling me like, oh man, you don't need to go to that church because it's not what you used to.
Mm,
I made every excuse to not go to church, right? Because I'm like, well, I'm doing my reading at home. I'm getting my word at home. I'm listening to I didn't say I never did listen to worship music because I did, but I never actually walked into the doors of a church. You know what I'm saying? And had a
right.
community. So I'm trying to. I guess what I'm trying to announce that's more important than you thinking that you're trying to do it alone. Make sure you have community, man. Make sure that you have somebody to, help you along the way. And so that's why I'm glad you
Right.
came on to the podcast today because people need to understand that there's regular folk like me and you that's going to go through this stuff, and we have to deal with these kind of things. You know what I'm saying? And you realize that we're not
Right.
alone in it. So let me
No,
go ahead.
not at all.
I'm like I said, man, I'm happy. I'm excited. You know what I'm saying? You actually were telling me your story, but I can relate, like totally relate. And so, I mean, I know there's somebody else out there who will hear this and be like, man, that was me, or that is me.
Yep.
Because, some colleges are still open right now, some are just virtual, but you never know. Like, that is me. Whoever is listening to this podcast at the time, man, Noe Cruz is letting you know right now that it is not too late. Okay. It is not too late. You guys can go ahead
It's
and build
not.
that relationship. And like I said, it's all about how you respond. Okay, it's big on response. It's been a pleasure having
Yep.
you on the show, but
Same
these
here.
last two questions are kind of key to keep building on that community, like we said, right? So
Right.
where can our listeners connect with you online if they want to, have more questions about what happened to you when you moved to San Antonio, or if they have more questions, if you're willing to open up about that. But if
Absolutely.
yeah, I know we discussed
Yeah.
that you will be willing to do that. So, where can they find you at online, man?
Yeah, they can find me on IG, following me at NO3CRZ, Twitter at CRZN03, and then Facebook just at Noe Cruz, so NOECRUZ. Yeah, and definitely hit me up, right? I'd be more than happy to send me messages, DM me. Build that community. That's what we're here for, to serve each other, to help each other grow, right? And learn from any of my past mistakes, right? Just like anyone. But I'm definitely willing to share, right? Share that faith, because I know that's going to edify us both. Right.
Yeah,
Someone poured that into my life. So like you said earlier, right, about how you had coaches, pour in your life and now you're paying it for it. This is the same thing, right? We're pouring into each other's lives, and it only makes us stronger, right?
yeah,
Whenever there's two or more,
yeah.
Jesus says, right, that He is there, His presence there. It's there through phones, it's there through YouTube channels, right? It's we're all connected, right, through Christ, and so I definitely encourage everyone to hit me up, and we can get that going.
Yes, man. Like you said, two or more, man. Jesus Christ is there. It's like I love that. I really do. And you could feel it, And like what I told you when I was
You
talking to
can,
you a couple of weeks ago, man, when you guys were actually down in Houston, and I was like, you went to go see the beautiful Discover Green. And I was telling you,
yeah,
I just feel the spirit, is moving me in a direction. And that I am like super excited to go in. And it's kind of like, some
yeah,
people try to control every step and have all these plans and prepare their lives for this and that. And I just had experiences, this week, no power, I mean, I'm not the only one. No power. Some people didn't have water,
mhm,
but we didn't let that, stop our love for God. We didn't let that stop us from praying. We didn't let that stop us from, keep trying to have some normalcy because you got to think about a pandemic on top of a winter storm. Boy, it was crazy.
mm.
It's been crazy.
That's how it's faith, man. That's when
Yeah.
right?
You just
Yeah,
man, you got to have faith that everything's going to work out, man. And I'm just happy that we're able to get this in, man. So the final question, The big $1 million faith-based question is, I gotta
Drum
build,
roll is.
you got, boo, 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 I gotta build it up. Is, what does faith with purpose mean to you?
Simply put, man, faith with purpose to me aligns perfectly with what James 2:26 states, which is just as the body is dead without breath, so is also faith dead without good works. So faith with purpose is breath and good works, which speaks everlasting life into communities of people. Faith with purpose fulfills Christ's command, which is the Great Commission, right? He notes in Matthew 28:18 through 20, where he states to go and make disciples of all nations. Once you have established your faith, and the next important step is to find what good works God has in store for you, right? He's given us all unique skills, and it is our responsibility, right, to help identify and utilize those skills to do good works for his kingdom, which that kingdom will never end, man. We're all right. We all live in this world. We're all trying to build ourselves to, something better. But anything in this world, it's gonna perish, right? This world
Mhm.
will not last. But in heaven, right? Jesus' kingdom, man, that is gonna endure forever. So that is where we need to start building, right? That is when we want to start creating, because that kingdom will never end, right? And so that's why I think it's important, right, for all of us. And this is kind of bringing it back to the question of what it means to me. This is acts. This is faith and with acts, right? With your
Mhm.
actions, with your works. It's combining, getting people together, right, to talk about Christ, to talk about the problems, right, that they're having, being open, to it, and understanding, right, that we have a God that wants to come and help us, right, that wants to be there for us. But we have to let him in. We have to believe. It starts with that, allowing him in our hearts and taking it day by day, right? We're not, and we know we're not going to change overnight, right?
Right,
It's going to be a process,
right.
but if we take it a day at a time, man, with having that spirit help us, guide us in community with everybody, man, it's gonna be awesome. That's how it's gonna be in heaven, anyways. So why can't we have that experience now on earth,
Right.
right? Of just being together to help each other, and especially like you said, coming back to the week we've had, right? If anything, it's helped us rely more on God, right? Understanding that He is still in control, no matter what's going on,
Yes,
right?
sir.
That's what faith is all about, is believing, right, that we're, what we can't see, our eyes can't physically see that victory, but it's there. It's going to happen. There's a time and place, and our faith in Christ is going to put us and take us through that, man. So that's what it means to me. I know it's kind of a long-winded question, but
Nah,
to me, it just means that it's not only your faith, but it's your action, it's your works, that the gifts that God has given you, Jamel, right, to share that with the world. It's truly inspiring, right? It's inspired me as well. And so, I just can't thank God for people like yourself, right? That go through this, how and understand the
likewise,
passion
bro.
that you
Likewise.
have,
Yeah.
and it just catches one fire, from one person to the next, and that's what it's about, man.
Yeah, likewise, man. Like I said, it's more so like, those acts, man, and just the faith and just knowing that, even though I can't see exactly what's coming my way, that because that's the thing that we fear the most. And that's another thing that we walk in this life with is fear because we don't
Hmm.
know. It's the uncertainty, right? It's the unknown. And so people are, nosy. Let's go and put it out there. People are
Yeah.
nosy. So they want to know every little thing God is going to do for them, but you're not going to know. You're not,
No.
and that's kind of He lets you know that you're not going to know every little thing that I'm going to do for you. But if you have faith of a mustard seed, I'm telling you, and you believe, right? And I was just telling my kids this in the playoff because
Yeah.
we're in the playoffs now for basketball, and I'm telling them just believe, right? We have to believe. We have to believe that we can win this game. We have to believe that God is gonna take care of us. We have to believe that God is gonna be there for us. I give a big hand and big shout out to those people in Texas, man, that went through the week that we
Hmm.
went through, right? And still
Yeah,
had a
it's
smile on their
tough.
face and still helped others. My car broke down in my neighborhood this week. I had a neighbor come outside and he was like, his family was worried because my car was in front of their driveway, blocking their driveway, bro. They could not get out. And so he came outside and said, "Oh yeah,
Hey.
man, my wife was telling me that your car had been here for a while, and did you need some help?" Gave me stranger, don't know him, anything like that. Gave me a hand. I don't know what happened with my car, man, but it just would not turn back on, bro. So I had to, go to the gas station. Took me to the gas station. Came back, put the gas can in there. He showed me how to do all that because it was one of those new high tech cans, and I was like, I don't remember how to do this. I remember the one you just stick in and then it goes. But He showed me how to do
I
it.
know what you're talking about. Yeah, I
Yes,
know
man.
exactly what you're talking
But
about.
yeah, I'm gonna let you go.
They're hard now. They're hard.
Yeah, they hard now, man. All this high tech stuff. Anyway, just to kind of like sum it up, man. It's like he didn't have to do that, right? He didn't have to come outside to help me. He could have been angry because of the situation, but it's like God finds people and put them into your life, and you don't know why.
Right.
And like I said, I'm so
Right.
grateful that you're able to offer some time, right? And to, make a time in your schedule, your busy schedule, man, and do this interview with me
It's
today,
my
man. It's
pleasure,
been a
man.
blessing. I know that you blessed somebody. I can feel it. I already know that the people out there who are listening to this podcast right now, man, go ahead and follow Noe Cruz on all his social medias, man. The guy
Yeah, go
is
ahead.
doing great things. Like I said, he is a great guy overall, and like I said, God I was blessed to be married into his family, and like I said, I've seen a lot from this
We're
guy,
blessed to
a
have
lot
you,
of
Jamil.
growth, from this guy, and the last several years, and so it's beautiful, man. It's a beautiful thing. So, Favorite Purpose thanks you, Noe Cruz, for coming on to the episode today. So, I mean, with that question, that main question that we have to ask before we get off of the episode, I really appreciate Noe, man. That was beautiful. There's no such thing as a long-winded answer. When God moves in you, he uses you to speak. That's what our job is to do, is to speak. He uses people as a vessel to speak to others.
Absolutely.
All right. So you just spoke to somebody else with that, bro. You spoke to me. You had me getting ready to get up and do a little, little worship dance. But
Yeah, some pumps.
so we're gonna bless you guys on this particular episode with a bonus question from my brother Noe. If you could say one thing to the listeners to take away from today, what would that be?
The one thing I hope the audience takes away right from this conversation is you want to find yourself a good biblical Holy Spirit led church, right? A community, establish meaningful relationships where we can worship and fellowship with each other as a community. And then in addition, I would just say stay connected, right? Getting involved will add value. In any way you can, right? Utilize those skills. You'll never regret making the decision to follow Christ, right? So for those that are on the fence and never heard, and I'm telling you, you're never going to regret the decision of following Christ. Especially now as time right progresses, we're seeing all this is happening, all this unknown. We know, right, our rock is Christ. No matter what's going to happen, right, He's going to endure it. His kingdom will endure it, and I promise you, you will never regret following Jesus, man. So, connect with me, right? We'll encourage each other as we go. I'm here to serve you guys, serve Jamel and others around. That's what I've been placed on this earth to serve others. That's where my fulfillment comes in, right? That's where I know I sleep good at night, knowing that I was able to help one person, right? Serve someone. So that's where I'll leave it at, Jamel.
I love it, man. And yes, that's all it takes, really, man, is for one person. Reach one person. And like I said, that one person can reach one person. And then the next person can reach one person. It grows, it grows.
It
And like I
does.
said, it's not about, I have to always say that it's not about the notoriety of us, right? It's not about what we're looking for, right? We're not really looking for any praise or any, kudos or pats on the backs. What we're just trying to do is just work. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to do God's work, and that's it. Like we don't expect anything in return. We only thing that we ask from you guys, though, honestly, is to just love Christ. Let Him come into your life. Just let Him move you in the direction that He needs to move you in. Because, like I said, we can't do this alone. And like me and Noe said earlier, there's no way we should have plans on doing this alone. All right, we should not have plans on doing this alone at all, because He's with us every single moment of the day. And like I said, two or more are gathered, He's there. So
Absolutely.
that's a great answer, bro. Great answer. Hope this message that helped someone
Likewise.
today, and I hope that you can share this message with a friend or a family member. And don't hesitate to reach out. Like Novi said, don't hesitate to reach out to him. Don't hesitate to reach out to me on any of the social media platforms. We're going to be doing prayers. We're going to be taking suggestions for the shows. If you have somebody that has an amazing testimony, have them reach out to me on my social medias, and you'll see more here at the end of the video where all my social media platforms are. Topics you guys may want me to discuss with my guest, the topics that you want me to host with my guest, that'll be helpful too. And any collaborations, anybody who wants to collaborate and all that, for the goodness of God and for the kingdom, just hit me up. Thank you for tuning in, FWP gang. I love you. God loves you, and that's fight.
Fikes.
Peace.
Peace, man.
Hey, FWP. With purpose is for me. On me. Yeah, FWP. On me. Yeah, with purpose is for me. On me. Yeah, with purpose is for me. Yeah. On me. Jesus. On me. P. On me. Yup. On me. Yup. On me. Yup. On me.